Live from Earth, it's Space Radio. I'm Paul Sutter, astrophysicist at Stony Brook University and the Flatiron Institute. And for the next half hour, your Agent of the Stars. I got an exciting show for you today where we have a very special, and I do mean special, guest. It will blow your mind to have this much baldness on the show. This show lives on listener questions. Hey, no laughing until I introduce you. Hey,
Right.
You're supposed to stay in your corner until I let you out.
I like this loss of control.
Yeah. You know what? Okay. You know what? This show is off
No,
the rails.
please continue.
Here we go. You know, Nancy wrote up a very glowing introduction of you, and now you're just going to get Fraser Cain, man lost in the wilderness. No, I'm going to do you right. So
right.
you're people can see you, just so you know. But we record every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern here in Spaceman Studios in New York City. To get your questions on the air, you need to drop a voicemail. Go to spaceradioshow.com. You can also join the Space Cadets tuning in live from around the world, including, but not limited to, Mount Everest. I do not believe that. Hobart, Australia, Washington, D.C., Bristol, Indiana, Casablanca, Morocco, Pell City, Alabama, Bromsgrove, UK, Bromsgrove, Europe, very specific, Howell, New Jersey, Hull, England, Tucson, Arizona, and more. Hello from the Mariana. You just can't pick the extremes. Now, I have a guest who has already introduced himself, but I'm going to introduce him. And everyone thinks that's a green screen, Fraser, by the way. The whole chat is convinced it's a green screen. No, it's the real deal, unless he has one of those fancy 360 sets. But I don't think he has the budget for that. Fraser Cain is the publisher of Universe Today, which he founded in 1999. That is like the Dark Ages. This is a medieval institution. It's like the University of Paris and the Catholic Church right here. And right up there with it is Universe Today. He has to be one of the busiest science communicators I know. In addition to publishing daily content for Universe Today, each week he hosts the Weekly Space Hangout, Open Space, co-hosts Astronomy Cast with Dr. Pamela Gay. As a bonus for his Open Space audience, Fraser routinely and randomly interviews scientists, authors, and other individuals of interest. Previously Fraser hosted the long-running Guide to Space series, and he continually looks for innovative ways to leverage the internet in order to deliver quality science content into people's hands and minds. Fraser lives on Vancouver Island, Canada, with his wife, children, dog, and more Douglas firs than he can count. Fraser, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Paul. Good to see you again.
So you told me before the show, you are on Starlink. This is a Starlink thing right now.
Yep. This is the first time I've attempted to use my Starlink for like any high bandwidth issue. So people are gonna have to tell us if this works, because my entire future career as a streamer depends on this working.
Okay.
But so far,
so
if have it as a drop, like I'm out of a job. Like if I can't make this go, if Musk lets me down, then I have to go back to square one.
So that's a good question. Is Musk letting you down? How is Starlink? Is Starlink the future? And what are we going to do about this whole ruining astronomy thing?
Well, so okay, so you guys are gonna have to tell me if Musk is letting me down. I mean, so far I haven't lost connection with you in the 15 minutes or so that we've been hanging out. What does it hold for the future of astronomy? I mean, Starlink's a big problem. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it is definitely, for regular people who want to go in and look out at the night sky and not see this grid of lights. Don't worry, you're not going to be able to see that. Even in the darkest skies, you're not going to be able to see starlings with your unaided eye. But the astronomers, especially the ones who are working with the big observatories, the Vera Rubin Observatory and so on, they're going to have a degraded astronomy experience because of all of these mega constellations that are going up. And when you think about the potential benefit, I mean, obviously, me being able to live in the middle of a Canadian forest is a benefit. But when you think about around the world, the half the population of planet Earth that doesn't have access to the internet, this is going to be the way that they get online for a reasonable expense compared to what it would take to run fiber optic cable for 100 kilometers to a small town in Australia. So weighing that, the mistake, I think, was just not bringing in the astronomy community early on and working with them to mitigate and come up with solutions. Like there should have been way more conversation. There should have been years of talks, years of discussion, compromise before these things launched to try to solve the problems. And now it's this whole problem. There's 1,700 of them up there right now, and now they're going to have to try and reel them back in.
Yeah, so
but
it
it's
seems like pretty obvious. Like you're putting something up in space and putting a lot of shiny things in space. This might irritate the astronomers. Did no one in SpaceX like think of that?
Right. Well, and I think that, like, is it more important for the rest of humanity to get internet than for astronomers to have a perfectly pristine night sky? And I think the answer is yes. And so that depends on Musk fulfilling that and SpaceX fulfilling that promise of giving people internet, and that is still unknown. I mean, obviously, here I am. I've got internet, and I can imagine if it wasn't my trailer in the middle of the forest and it was actually a community center in the middle of a small town in Australia, suddenly they're able to give internet access to a large area that could never have access before. So I think that you have to have, on the one hand, you got this betterment of humanity matched with all of the downsides. And I feel like the time should have been spent to mitigate those issues. And astronomers end up holding the short end of the stick on this one.
Yeah, it really is a shame, because now it appears to be this massively polarized issue where you either pick Starlink and internet access for the entire world, or you pick a bunch of nerdy astronomers with their telescopes. And surely it's 2021, folks. Surely we have fancy stuff. We figured out problems. We can solve. We can have both. We can have both.
We could brainstorm a bunch of solutions right here that I'm sure would get us halfway there. That, like, for example, just how the broadcasters used to get access to the public airways, but they had to provide certain amount of value to get out public messaging. What if every mega constellation that wants to go up also has to provide a certain amount of space telescope access to astronomers to compensate for the loss of the ground-based observatories that they're losing? Because it's not 100%. They're going to lose. It's going to be a degradation. What about spending more time mitigation? What about figuring out perfect orbit so that the satellites don't fly overhead of the big observatory centers in Chile and Mauna Kea and things like that? So I'm sure people could have come up with better solutions, but it's unfortunately, again, now we're just, it's too late. These things are up there.
Is it too late for any of these solutions? Is Starlink and OneWeb and all the others?
No, it's not too late. Yeah, I mean, the great thing is they're so low. I mean, I think people are always so freaked out about how many of the satellites there are and how they're so low in orbit. But actually, low is good. Low is degrades quickly. You launch a Starlink up, and if you don't continuously thrust it, it will it'll burn up in the atmosphere within a couple of years at the most. While there are satellites that are at 1,000 kilometers and higher that are going to be up there for decades, even centuries. And so there's no getting them back. And so I actually think that this low Earth orbit zone is the place where I would be happy to see only satellites launched into low Earth orbit and not into higher orbits, because low Earth orbit, if you've made a mistake, if there's impacts, they all just crash back down into the atmosphere and they disappear. So yeah, that would be my preference. I'd be interested to see, could we have weather satellites? Could we have communication satellites? Could we have GPS? Could we fulfill, Earth observing satellites, have them all be low Earth orbit, but then just be really careful about where they orbit so that you can mitigate their impact on astronomers.
Here. Where do I sign the petition?
This is the government now gonna have to figure this out. And even if Starlink gets its wrist slapped and says it can't do it and it has to shut down, and in 2 years they all crash into the Earth, China is going to be building its mega constellation. Russia's building a mega constellation. The Europeans, like, this is happening. And so now the question is, how do we get along together? And I'm not going to, again, I'm not going to,
That's
yeah,
what we do.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah. And
fund
so I totally get that astronomers are furious. And I think that it's an outrage that the companies didn't listen to them before just launching.
But it's also a sign. I've seen public comments about this, of how, like, everyone's like, okay, so astronomers lose out. Like, what are they doing anyway? And so
Yeah.
this was a failure of science, basic science communication, of communicating the value of fundamental research and fundamental science, where people didn't say, oh, I automatically recognize and understand the value that fundamental astronomy provides to my life and our civilization as a whole. That is something worth preserving. Now we have to go out and argue that case.
Yes.
As the rockets are going up.
And there's two, I mean, there's sort of two sides to it. I mean, there is an actual practical use for time domain astronomy, which is hunting for asteroids, hunting for the killer space rocks that could ruin our lives. And the worse astronomy gets, then the harder and harder it is to find those space rocks moving, because you've got a satellite trail running right through the asteroid in your image.
Oops.
But oops, yeah, we would have seen it, but it turns out there was a satellite trail running through it, and so we weren't able to spot it. And I think, obviously that's a practical, but it is kind of a stretch. Like, the number of times that we're likely to be hit by the killer asteroid is fairly low. And so I think that argument isn't very strong. I think the argument that is the strongest is that basic research is important. And we don't know what basic, in terms of high energy physics, in terms of particle physics, in terms of biology. And yet, when we look at what happened with the coronavirus, we suddenly were able to take advantage of this brand new technology, the mRNA vaccine methodology, to stop, theoretically, a virus in its tracks. And it took 20 years, and suddenly this virus comes along and it's ready to go. And it wouldn't have happened without the basic research. And so the argument should always just be that basic research is important, and it should always have a seat at the table, and not be, you should never go down that slippery slope of saying, yeah, but like, what have you done for me lately? What practical benefit am I going to get from this weird basic research that you're doing? The answer should always be, we don't know, but it's important and it's cool, and it could turn into something like lasers.
Yeah, space lasers. Maybe we could throw Starlink satellites at the incoming asteroid to try to deflect it.
But then someone should be doing basic. Yeah. Turn a laser on every Starlink.
More lasers in space. That's what we need, because we need them for these light sail spacecraft. We need them for communication. We just need lasers everywhere. Lasers are the future, and there isn't a problem that a laser can't solve, honestly.
No, and we wouldn't have lasers if someone hadn't just said, I wonder what happens when I shoot light in a coherent fashion. What happens?
Yeah, if I can make extra light. It was a fun, nerdy, geeky physics experiment.
Exactly, until someone said, hey, there's maybe some practical uses for this.
Yeah, speaking of not practical uses, James Webb, over under on it actually launching this year.
It's going to launch. It's going to launch.
You think it's going to launch? You think it's happening?
They're shipping the upper stage. I just saw yesterday, they're shipping the upper stage to the launch site. James Webb is packed up, ready to go. There's the tricky issue of whether or not the fairing separation is going to work properly. That's still, an issue, concern, because it hasn't worked for a couple of recent rockets. But I think they're going to sort that out in time, and I don't think there's going to be any more delays. I think it's going to launch. It's not going to launch October 31st, but I'll bet you it's going to launch 15th. That's my guess.
You cut out right when you gave the
Starlink
that were yeah. What does Musk not want us to? I want you to blink your eyes, okay, to tell us the date.
Yeah, I'm guessing December 15th. That's my guess.
December 15th, folks. That's the day. 2021, the year of the James
2021.
Webb Space Telescope
Yeah.
blowing up on the launch pad. It is here.
Oh
It is
God!
this
Oh
year.
no! Don't even say it. Oh, so
So
much
horrible.
money.
I'm so mean. I'm so
Yeah.
mean. There have been so many, and I'm not connected to a lot of James Webb research except some of the first stars, cosmic dawn stuff. But the next big space telescope, the Nancy Grace Roman telescope, I do have a lot of friends who have spent years designing surveys, getting the software ready, doing simulations for they have to wait for James Webb to go up before they get a launch slot. And so like
But I
we've
mean,
been
talk about
spending
a mission at perfectly according to schedule. Like Nancy Grace Roman is the opposite of James Webb.
yeah, because we were handed a fully functioning telescope and it's simple.
Sure, but
It's a Hubble. It's another Hubble. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's way simpler. We were handed to it by some secret agency was like, hey, you want some extra telescopes? And we're like, no, but yes, okay, sure.
Yeah, but there's no fancy unfolding. No, like it's just stick it in a rocket
Stick it in
fairing
a
and send it
tube,
to space.
pack it up with those packing peanuts, and get it out there.
Yeah, away it goes. But all the instruments. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
Yes. What the heck is going on with Boeing?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we saw Starliner sitting on the launch platform a couple of weeks ago, and they were ready to finally have their big comeback after all of the issues they had with their first launch, failing to actually get up to the International Space Station. And they had a giant laundry list of things to fix and had believed that they had fixed all of these problems. And then Starliner was on the launch site. And then we had this issue with the Russian science module accidentally flipping the International Space Station over a couple of times.
Yeah, that was
which caused a bit of a flight delay, allowed them to do a little more time to do some tests on Starliner to be prepared. And NASA scrubbed the launch. And there was something like 13 valves that opened up at incorrect times. So clearly, that rocket is not
that's 13 more problems than you want.
Yeah. And so, clearly they're going to have to go back and look through what's going on with Starliner step by step. And who knows if it'll even launch by the end of the year. Speaking of things that may not launch by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So it's and SpaceX is now about to run their first private launch of the Dragon capsule. With the Crew Dragon, yeah. So they're going to send. So they've already done 2 launches with Crew Dragon. They're going to send a private launch. There's many more launches coming up with Crew Dragon. So they're really running away with it. So at this point, Boeing has got to really demonstrate that they can, come up with solve these hardware problems and make this thing fly. I don't think that they will be canceled though. I think the original insight. Yeah, well, I think the original insight was really solid, which was have some competition, have multiple providers. Don't be stuck to one way to get to space. So if there's some problem with SpaceX, you can fly with Boeing, and if there's a problem with Boeing, you can fly with SpaceX. And they've got the Cygnus cargo vessels going up, and there's other ideas as well. So I think, and I'm sure once Starship starts to fly, I'm sure eventually Blue Origin will try to offer up some kind of solution to go to space as well. So I think it makes sense to, even if Boeing is having trouble, it makes sense from NASA's leadership side to just keep them in the game. And, it's going to take them more time, but eventually they'll be able to fly, and you'll have a way to get humans to space via multiple methods. And I think that's the safe way to go.
It definitely is. Speaking of all this private space flight, let's say tomorrow Elon Musk announces that Ingenuity 4 is going to be Ingenuity 5, and you go out to your local wilderness grocery store and you buy a Muska bar, and you open it up and there's the golden ticket. So Fraser Cain is invited to Ingenuity 5. Are you going on that ride?
Oh, see, normally I say no. But now there's been like a couple of flights on the Crew Dragon, the International Space Station has been inhabited for a long time. There's lots of rescue vehicles. I think I do. I'm only in space for like a week. Yes. Yeah, I think I do that flight. Like if it's like the Mars trip, it's like no way. Not a
Yeah.
chance.
I mean, technically, pieces of you will end up on Mars, like more likely than not, but just not
Right.
all at the
But
same
even so, like
time or
2 years,
sequence.
yeah, 2 years, space radiation. No thanks. I'm out.
Yeah, it's
And to go to a
so.
desert, to go to a
So you would
cold
do
vacuum
Ingenuity
desert.
5. Would you do Virgin Galactic? Someone gave you a free ticket? Would you do that one?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. It's like an afternoon of your time. Yeah, I'd be down with that. Again, I
All
think I
right.
want to see a few more flights, if you see few more safety going on.
Yeah.
But I like Earth is the best. And
Preach it.
the moon, like I would go to the moon if I could go there for a week. And I would go to Mars if I could go there for a week, but you can't go to Mars for a week. You have to go for 2 years.
Yeah, you don't get that
So
choice.
you don't get that choice. And so Mars is would be interesting, but it's this cold vacuum desert of just red sand. Like I
Who
can
wants to
see,
go there? What's the
yeah,
appeal?
yeah. I don't get it. I'm gonna get it. Like, I get it. It's the frontier. Like that's what it is. Is that people want to test themselves on the forge of space exploration to go to a
Yeah.
place where their survival is not assured and they're having to grow potatoes out of their poop.
Yep,
But
just like Utah.
yeah, but I think that there are places here on Earth where you can test yourself to the absolute limit. I literally live on the island where they filmed that Alone TV show. So, if you
Yeah.
want
And you
if you
are
want to try,
alone. You look totally alone.
I know, if you want to try struggling on Vancouver Island's forest, and see what you're made out of, this island breaks people who
Turns out
don't
you're
have
made of meat,
Starlink.
which is Bear's favorite
Yeah,
food.
I do have bears on my property. Yeah. I think that when people are really excited to go and explore or go live on a place like Mars, I think it's really important to kind of interrogate, where's that coming from? What's that about? Is it that you just want the challenge? Is it just that you're excited? Now, are you excited because that's what Star Trek told you to be excited? Because Star Trek is a lie, right?
Wait, what?
Star Trek is real. Warp drives and teleporters and
What?
so on. Yeah, I
Your
know. And
life's
so
work is
I know.
a
And so
joke.
I really think that there will be a science station on Mars. There will be a science station on the moon. It'll happen within our lifetimes. And there will be a permanent inhabitants on the moon, Mars, a couple of asteroids, in space stations for a long time. But I really don't think that people want to live on Mars as much as they think they want to live on Mars.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot of people who get to Mars and say, oh, there's no air and I feel funny
Yeah.
and I
And the
want to go
radiation.
outside.
Yeah, but you can't because the radiation. In fact, we just ran a
And
story on you today that now looks like greenhouses won't work on Mars because of the cosmic radiation.
oh, you dang cosmic radiation.
Yeah,
Who's getting
yeah.
up in
So,
there?
yeah, so in other words, if you just have like a glass greenhouse with your plants growing inside of it, the cosmic rays will be blasting your plant's DNA apart faster than it can function. And so your plants have to live underground. So you've got to dig tunnels, stick your plants in your tunnels. You get down inside your tunnels with your plants, and you just like, this is your life now.
You just say, this is your life. You're a
Yeah,
mole, a Martian mole
you're
person.
a Martian mole person. By helping humanity spread its eggs out of one basket. Yeah.
That's not a great basket though.
No, no. I mean, like being able to sit in your Martian greenhouse, look out over the desolate Martian expanse and see the green growing food all around you. That was like the one last thing that it had going for it. But now, you sit in your greenhouse as your plants are just getting torn apart at the atomic level by cosmic rays. Just make you cry.
We do our best.
So, yeah, I know. Man, we really
So
kill.
what is the future of space over the next few decades? You think in our lifetimes there are going to be permanent bases Like how we have Antarctica bases where we're rotating people in and out on Moon and Mars.
Antarctica base, the International Space Station, I think that is the perfect analog for what the future is going to look like until space becomes trivialized. So there will be some time in the future, 100 years from now, 200 years from now, when we've got compact, solid hydrogen pellets that we put into our spacecraft that allow us to fly around this solar system no problem, when we've mastered all kinds of closed environmental ecosystems. And there will be this tipping point when it does make sense, when in fact launching an orbital colony and living up there makes as much sense as living down on planet Earth. But that's a long way off. And I think Antarctica,
one of the space cadets is bringing up, I don't see people flocking to live in the Sahara. Like if we can trivialize space, we can trivialize the middle of a desert or the middle of Antarctica or underwater cities. Uh-oh. We lost you, Fraser.
Okay, sorry.
There you are.
Yeah, okay, I'm back. Yeah. So yeah, I think that Antarctica is the exact analog that a future lunar base, a future Mars base will look exactly like Antarctica. That there will be people, there will be more and more infrastructure built up in that location. People will fly in with supplies at enormous expense and do really useful and fascinating science. And we will all be gripped by what they discover. It's going to be wonderful.
I'm gripped. You know what else is gripping? The end of this show. Which isn't that a short show? Fraser, I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
What is your favorite kind of cheese?
Smoked Gruyere.
Smoked Gruyere. That's a lovely selection. I do not have a smoked Gruyere. Do you want to stick around while I eat some cheese?
Sure. Yeah.
Fraser, where can people find
what do you have?
Oh, I'll share with you. But first, where can people
in the middle of the Canadian forest is where they can find me. No, obviously Universe Today. So I will be returning to regular broadcasts from Universe Today headquarters in the next probably month or so. So in September, and people will be able to enjoy the trials and tribulations as I attempt to run my broadcasting studio out of the back of a trailer. And go to universetoday.com, sign up for my newsletter, get the podcast, and hopefully things will go smoothly until I'm cut like a proper studio built.
All right. I can't wait. How long is that going to take?
Yeah. Probably about 4 months. So I'm staring at an excavator right now, and we plan to break ground in the next probably week to build the actual shop studio.
Best of luck with that.
Thank you, sir.
But I'm opening up this cheese. This cheese, you can stick around for this. This is going to be fun, Fraser.
Yeah.
Our cheese, as everyone knows, our cheese is brought to you and me, mostly me, because it's right here in front of me, by Dom's Cheese, DOMS Cheese.com. They do deliver. They do ship. You just gotta write them an email. They are fantastic. They're passionate about cheese. You think I'm passionate about cheese? I'm just an enthusiastic amateur. These are professionals. All right, these are.
I cannot believe that you got a cheese sponsor.
Dream come true. Dream come true right here.
Fraser.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! Today's cheese brought to us by Dom's Cheese. These guys, these are like the Ph.D. astrophysicists of cheese. And they give me cheese for every show. Today's is a tegel. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. Look at that texture.
That looks good.
This translates to brick in Swedish. We've got a Swedish cow's milk cheese here. It's produced by Almnäsbruk, an organic farm situated on the picturesque west coast of the second largest lake in Sweden. That's one way to describe it. Goes back to the 18th century. Estate was home to a brick factory. 400 Holstein cows. Their milk gets sucked out of them and pumped into a copper vat. Yeah. The curd is cut with rotating harps. I guess it's not a musical harp.
That'd be better, though. That'd be cooler.
that would be way cooler, and it's like making this wonderful sound. This flavor of Tegel becomes increasingly rich and complex as it ages, with a saltiness and a prickliness on the tongue balanced by sweetness, caramel, and a hint of grass. Hint of grass. Pair it with Chardonnay, a Riesling, a hard cider, or a Bock beer, or just eat it straight. I get that prickliness. It's a little punchy.
Prickliness.
It's a little feisty going down. Like it's not just gonna mellow out. Like some cheeses are like, okay, I'm being digested. This one's going down with a fight. It's in a corner. It's got some claws to it.
Now I've heard, I don't know if you've been following this, but people have figured out how to make cheese without the cow. Would you eat that?
Yeah, you
on your
get
way to
the,
Mars?
you get the sheep or the goat. Or the
No,
buffalo.
like a bacterial, like they figured a way to teach bacteria how to make milk proteins.
You know what? We spent so much time wondering if we could do it.
Yeah.
We didn't stop to ask if we should do it.
So that's a no.
That's a hard
on
no.
your on
It's
so
just
on
not
your
cheese anymore. Listen.
on your trip to Inspiration on Inspiration 5, when they pass out the cheese tray in zero gravity, and they say, oh, by the way, this was produced by fermented bacterial cultures, no cow ever involved. That's a hard pass.
I will ask, where's the button that sends this into the atmosphere where it can burn up?
Right. Okay.
All right. It's going straight to the sun. You want? No, it's going into the deep void. No, I don't want to go to the deep void of space because I don't want some alien to discover it 15 million years from now and think that this is how we made cheese. This is not representative of our species. You are burning up in the sun, and you are not even going to leave a chemical spectroscopic fingerprint.
Yeah.
So
are you made by a cow, sheep, or a goat?
No trace of this abomination. You will be wiped from the galactic memory.
What about cheese from like another kind of mammal?
I don't like these questions, Fraser. They're making me uncomfortable.
I'm sorry. That's right. This is your show. I'm not the one who's supposed to ask you questions. You're supposed to ask me uncomfortable questions. That's right.
You ask me cheese questions. A cheese is like, oh, I love a good goat's milk, sheep's milk, buffalo milk.
Yeah.
I haven't tried cat milk cheese, but I presume someone's eating it somewhere in the world.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Horse cheese. I'm sure that exists.
Oh, I'm sure. Yak milk.
Yeah,
You can make
yak cheese. I'm sure.
Yak
you turn it into cheese.
Yakkert?
Probably. Yeah, it must be.
I don't want to find out. Fraser, thank you so much for joining us. I'm gonna hang you up.
Thank you for helping me test my my Starlink.
Great job, Starlink. Good job, Musk. Sorry, way to ruin all of modern astronomy, but yay for Fraser being able to live stream from the middle of the woods.
Exactly.
All right. Oh wow, that was fun. It's always fun, and this is a fantastic cheese. Thank you so much to Dom's Cheese, domscheese.com. Space Cadets. Before we go, I gotta tell you something. Just you and me. Are you sitting down? Next September, which is next month, it's going to be our 4-year anniversary of this show. I started it in September of 2017 on WCBE radio in Columbus, Ohio. When I was still living in Columbus, it was just a little fun radio show on public radio. September 23rd is going to be our last episode of Space Radio. It has been a truly, truly awesome adventure. We have a lot of cool guests and shows lined up until the 23rd. We've got Nancy. Tell them who we've got, because I don't remember, because Nancy lined them up. I shouldn't say we. It's all Nancy. And then the last episode, I'm gonna answer questions until there are no more questions left, because that's what we got to do. But listen, I just wanted to give you a little warning. There's going to be some more news on social media about some new projects that I'm up to, that I'm creating some time for. Really, Space Radio has been a blast. The Space Cadets have been amazing. You guys are the best fans in the world. I hope to see you on other platforms and other shows as we move forward. But it was just I was just over the summer. I did a lot of thinking. It was just time for this show to be over. It did its thing. It was a wonderful experiment, and it's time to try some other stuff in this wonderful world of science, communication, and outreach. Christian Reddy on September 16th. Thank you, Nancy, so much. And yeah, I won't be around next week for Space Radio, but we'll be back after that, and we'll get some good episodes. I'm not moving to Canada. Oh, no. I'm staying right here near the New York City metropolitan area. Anyway, we got to go. I just wanted to give you a heads up. Thank you for grabbing those books, Disillusion. They're on their way, by the way. I autographed them. If you ask for an autograph copy, they're on their way. And there are more autograph copies available. And actually, yes, Jim, it's my way of saying running out of cheese. Actually, Dom's Cheese, they're running out of cheeses. I think there's going to be exactly enough to do all the cheeses that they sell currently without any repeats. I think we're going to be like within one or two cheeses of that. Yes, you can get it off Amazon, or you can get my autograph books, How to Die in Space, Your Place in the Universe, from my website, pmsutter.com/book. That is what you'll get. There's another book coming out next year, but I follow me on social media for all the news and the updates and all the latest projects. Once again, I'm Paul Sutter. The show is brought to you by you. Please go to patreon.com/pmsutter to keep this show going for another month. But then my other work, Ask a Spaceman, which will live forever, probably. I will not stop doing that. Thank you, Nancy, for reminding me to say that. And yes, I just filmed another season of How the Universe Works, which will be out in spring of 2022, spring 2022. And Ask a Spaceman, 2 episodes every month. You can go to patreon.com to keep that show going. YouTube is going to stay alive. The podcast is going to stay alive. Lots of things are going to keep going. Don't worry, I'm not disappearing. You can't get rid of me that easy. Thank you, Nancy, for producing the show and wrangling the Space Cadets. Catch the live stream almost every Thursday while it lasts at 8 p.m. Eastern. Visit spaceradioshow.com for all the links. And of course, thank you again, Space Cadets, for listening. And remember, science is for sharing. And